Hello and welcome to the 5 Percenters. I'm your host Nathan Ali Barber. As ever, I'm joined by my co-host Daniela Genus. This is the Inspiring Content Show, so every week we discuss an inspiring book we're reading that advances us towards our goal of becoming a 5 Percenter. This week, Daniela and I are discussing Selling the Invisible by Harry Beckwith. Thank you very much for that, Ella. Great book, I thought. Really good book. Just in the way of summary. The big thought of the book is that it's very easy to read, straightforward, look at unique characteristics of selling services and selling to prospects and customers, and how any service from a home-based consultancy to a multinational business can turn more prospects into clients and keep them. So the book covers everything from selling services, marketing and sales from start to finish. There's lots of wonderful insights. It's very well written, jargon-free, very accessible. He looks at things like surveying and research, 18 fallacies of marketing thought, which is great. We're going to go into that in a moment. How prospects think. The more you say, the less people hear. Naming and branding, communication and selling, nurturing and keeping clients. So it's basically the whole spectrum of like sales and marketing for small businesses, consultants, large businesses. I learned so much. I mean, I've been in marketing and sales for years, and so many things in this are just so new to me. So I think so many people will get a lot of value from it. What were your thoughts on the book?
I really loved it. From the beginning I started reading it, or from the first couple of pages, I thought it was a really good book. Nathan, however, wanted to give up fairly quickly, but we've worked out that was because of the frame of mind he was in, not the content of the book. Because as you've got through it, you've realised how good it is. There's just so many really powerful examples. I really like, so he makes his statements and then he backs them up with examples, and I really like the structure of the book more so than anything.
Well, talk about the structure of the book for a moment, because there aren't long chapters. They're very short, snappy, maybe 200 to 300 words per section, but they're very much to the point and very succinct, non-jargon. Initially, I thought that there's not really enough here to kind of get my teeth into, because it's like, well, give me some more example, give me some more meat on the bone. But actually, it worked quite well.
Well, yeah, and as you go through it, he kind of builds upon everything that he says in the beginning. And as I said, the examples are really, some of them are quite inspirational, and also the opposite. Some of them kind of make you say, "Wow, like that person really failed. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do what he says." And I think that's the strength of the book, and the fact that it's each point is in a bite-sized kind of chunk. Great. So it's quite easy to go away and come back, and you don't get lost in the book.
Great. Okay, so take me through some of your favourite sections of the book.
So number one,
there's quite a few.
Yeah, I was reading it on my Kindle app on my phone, and I did find it got to a point where I didn't know, some pages like bookmarked back to back to back. So the first one, the more you say, the less people hear. That really resonated with me, because I'm at the point in kind of what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to decide which services I should offer as a consultant. And I came up with a few, but I have been thinking recently, maybe I need to kind of narrow in on one. And that's what this is saying. Like, rather than try to do everything, say one thing. And because if you're trying to say so many things, then you don't become known for anything. If you focus on one thing, then you become known for that one thing.
Just on that point, I think a lot of people get trip up a lot of times, because they're like, okay, I need to let people know that I do all these amazing things, right? And if they don't know them, then obviously I'm shortchanging myself. But what he actually says is that do one thing really well, and when you do that one thing, people will ask you for other things that you do, right?
Yeah, and that's, I think, something that I...
Okay, minor malfunction. We'll get this back on the road. Technicalities. We're going to continue. How did that happen? That's so awkward. And I can't even edit that out. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. I've lost my train of thought, so I'll just go on to the next bit. What he also talks about is the concept of, I guess what he's saying is finding a niche, but making sure that niche is something that's not being done. So he provides the example of a New York law firm, and within this period of time in the 1970s, many law firms were made up of kind of, I guess, posh people, gentleman clubs types. And those type of people were not interested in mergers and acquisitions, which had started to gain prominence during that period.
Right.
And actually, what one of the kind of startup law firms that hadn't been to the best universities, weren't kind of part of this gentleman club, what they did is went and looked at what are they doing, what they're not doing, what the other gentleman club type lawyer firms were doing was not mergers and acquisitions. So they decided to make that their niche, focus on that, and they became one of the richest law firms in the country. And I think that, again, is really motivational, but also it makes you stop and think, okay, if I want to go into this industry, what is it that people are not doing? And can I somehow fit my way in there? And more so, like, generally in business advice, they tell you to find a USP or whatever. But I think this is a bit different, because a USP, if you're a designer, your USP could be, I don't know, forward-thinking technological designs, it could be price, it could be excellent customer service, but this is very different. This is saying, okay, if you're a designer, graphic designers, I don't know, are servicing websites, maybe you should service the NHS if nobody's doing that. So it's a little bit different, and I really like that concept.
For me, one of the main things that I've actually implemented in my business right now is this whole idea of just being very succinct and telling your story or pitching your idea with a metaphor. Because for me, I mean, you know, I'm selling something that's very intangible. I'm selling marketing services and lead generation, and the concept is about creating this online community. And I know that there is a lot of value in what I'm saying and what I'm creating for customers, but actually simplifying it to the point of view where someone who has no idea what I do and the value that I offer, in a way that actually resonates with them quite quickly, something that I've been struggling to do, and you've highlighted that to me a couple of times. So I've been working on it, and one of the things that he says is make sure that, you know, if you have a complex subject or topic to explain, use a simile or use a metaphor. So effectively, my product helps customers create online communities to generate new business, you know, attract customers and retain them. But the way that I've explained that now, based on his idea, is to liken it to the experience that you get when you meet someone that supports the same football team that you do, or sports team that you do, or is a part of the same faith as you. So effectively, you have the same language, you see the world in the same way, you have the same frustrations, and you have the same outlook on life, and you come together every week or regularly to advance that goal. So to me, that sort of metaphor is a great analogy of actually what I'm trying to do, and so what I've done is I've changed my pitch and I've started with that, and that hopefully frames the rest of the discussion. So just a little thing like that I've taken from the book is kind of its weight in gold, really, because it's helped me be more confident in pitching it. And obviously, when I'm explaining it to people, they kind of get it instantly. That's one of the things that I got from it. Anything else?
I love this idea about just being very honest. He provides an example of this guy that was selling boat engines, and he would go to his clients and tell them in his pitch all of the things that this boat engine covered. And then one day he decided to tell them, to start with, all of the things that the boat engine didn't cover. And what that did is it made them trust and believe in what he said, because he was open with, I guess, the drawbacks of what he was selling, but then told them all of the benefits. So they were more likely to believe the benefits because he was honest about the drawbacks. And I just thought that was really powerful. I guess it's a bit different when you're selling yourself. That sounds a bit strange, but if you're selling yourself as a service, like a consultant, for example, because then you're going to a client and saying what you don't know, and then telling them, well, but I do know this. I think it's quite an interesting tactic, something that I'm potentially going to start using, actually, but I think it's quite a brave thing to do for the first time, because how do you know that they're not going to say, well, actually, that doesn't sound great?
Yeah. But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense, because, you know, when you kind of put all your faults up front, when you do say something that's true, people are more likely to believe you. Because I guess the main thing that's running throughout the whole of the book is this whole idea of understanding humans and our motivations and why we do and don't do certain things. And when we kind of over egg ourselves and we kind of over promise, people tend not to believe that kind of stuff, because he even has a section in the book where he talks about being good versus being great, and everyone has this kind of idea that I have to be the best at what I do. But then when we're looking for any product or service, how often do we look for the best? Sometimes we just look for good enough. And a lot of us don't have the time to evaluate, go on the market, and we have very busy lives, right? Go in the market and evaluate who is the best in every particular service area, product category. Who has time for that? Whereas coming across someone who's just good enough, as long as you impress them and you're honest and you provide value, people will hire you. They'll give you the time of day.
But even further from that, he also makes this point about just spreading the word of who you are and what you do, because he said even if people hear about you in a negative fashion, after a while they'll forget the negative thing, but because they've heard about
because
you,
they've heard of you,
yeah, they'll remember.
Yeah.
So if somebody says,
yeah,
I don't know, can you recommend X company for this? They'll say your company because they know who you are,
right.
Even if they don't remember. They know who you are.
The negative association.
Something bad, yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that was quite an interesting point.
Yeah.
And then also, he used this example of McDonald's versus Burger King.
McDonald's, brilliant.
Yeah, and it was really funny. They're saying that Burger King could see that McDonald's were basically taking over the market with their burgers, but what they kind of did was they focused on the fact that they were selling burgers. And they said, well, they're selling burgers and these burgers are sold a particular way. But Burger King, we do flame broiled hamburgers and this is what we're going to push. And they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. But McDonald's still continued to wipe the floor with them. And that was because people weren't interested in the burger.
It's not your product.
It was the experience of going into McDonald's and it being a fast-paced, you can get your food. It was the same kind of thing. It was good enough. It wasn't the best burger in the world, but it was good enough. There was also... There's so many different answers. He used an example of the couple that were on a road trip somewhere and they wanted a burger. And they drove past like one or two different fast food joints or kind of, I guess, local cafe restaurants, stop places. I didn't go to there and instead went to a specific store. I can't remember, was it McDonald's? I
can't remember. It was a branded name.
branded name somewhere that they wouldn't normally go. But because they trusted that they wouldn't have a bad experience, it was about what's going to provide a lesser risk. Had they gone to the other two, they would have got far superior service and product.
But they didn't know. It's about minimizing the risk.
And I thought that was quite interesting as well. So there's so many valuable points.
So many ideas.
Book. I really recommend it.
Does anyone notice? I mean, McDonald's. I mean, they've just done a fantastic. He recommends a book to read on there. Actually, I reviewed it on Amazon. I'm going to pick it up. But one of the things that I came across recently about McDonald's and branding is, anyone noticed that the Big Mac isn't really that big? It's not big at all. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not. But we think that the Big Mac is a big burger. It's just a regular burger. They've done so many amazing things from a branding point of view. It's just a phenomenal, case study to learn from. Okay, wrapping it up now. Favorite quotes?
Ooh.
2, if you can. Or 1.
1. I forgot about the quote.
Okay, I'll come. I'll give you mine. I'll give you a chance to look at one. I love this one of don't talk unless you can improve the silence, which is amazing. Just goes to this point of, listen, you need to add value, right, to the conversation and to the client. And then this whole idea of, you don't necessarily have to be the best at what you do. Just get out there and let opportunity hit you, which I thought was just amazing. Because sometimes he says, yes, you can have an amazing product. Yes, you can have an amazing service. Yes, you can have all these bells and whistles and features on it. But sometimes you have to just be in the right place at the right time and just meet people. He says sometimes opportunity can hit you when you're waiting at the airport and you sit next to someone on a seat and you just get talking about your business, right? But unless you're out there, you won't get those opportunities. So just get out there and just do it.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. Not as dynamic, but it really resonated with me was he says something I still remember vividly, talking about a client that he worked with. If it's this hard to write the ad, the product is flawed. And that is something that I thought was really an exceptional, obvious statement. And it's in reference to trying to write an ad for a service, an ad that makes an attractive promise to a prospect. if you cannot do it, then you need to fix your service. He said, write an ad for your service. If after a week your best ad is weak, stop working on the ad and start working on your service.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true.
Really
I spend so
interesting.
much time trying to describe something to make it sound amazing and not being able to do it. Well, then actually you don't need to do it, because whatever it is that you're trying to describe is clearly not good enough. So I really like that concept.
Okay, overall, rate the book out of 10.
I'd give it, so far I would say I'd give it like a 9. I think
9
it's
out of
a
10.
really good book, yeah.
Yeah, say 9 as well. Yeah, very good book. Initially, I I didn't think that at all, but just goes to show the frame of mind when you're sick and ill. It's not good to be reading or interacting with human beings at all, because it'll piss them off. Anyway, that's all for this week. Thank you very much for your time and support. Thank you very much as well, Daniela. Remember that your success is something that you generate by the person that you become. So become the best possible version of yourself. Oh, one more thing before I leave. How could I forget? Next week, we're reviewing Viktor Frankl's, if you can hold it up, Man's Search for Meaning, which has been highly recommended by so many people, and Daniela's mom especially. So we'll be reviewing that next week, so stay tuned for that. Remember, your success is something that you generate by the person